I will very pleased to join us for the first time, Scott and Guillermo from Oracle. We will have a little bit about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure and the announcement that was made, some developments, as a result that we first heard about it at Oracle Open World a few months ago. So thanks, thank you. I'm here now with Scott Macy and Guillermo Ruiz. Scott, Guillermo, welcome.
Oh, thank you.
So this will be kind of our final segment here. I'm really excited to kind of get our teeth into it. So Scott, maybe you can introduce yourself first and a little bit about what you do there and at Oracle.
Happy to. My name is Scott Macy. I am a strategic product manager on our strategic partnership team here in Oracle Cloud. Our team basically has kind of business ownership across multiple partnerships. Some that you've heard of: the VMware partnership, the Azure Interconnect partnership, and the partnerships related to the Oracle Cloud Marketplace. And our team will have presence at both Ignite and VMware Barcelona as sponsors. We're excited to be there, excited to talk about it. And I don't know, I have a background kind of throughout the tech industry across AWS and Amazon in multiple areas there too before coming over to Oracle.
And that's really interesting, right? So Scott, you have this perspective. You've been, you've been in the cloud world. You've seen how it's done. In many ways, OCI I've always thought is kind of cloud to 2.0. It's kind of it's okay now. What if we had to build it today? What would we build? I don't know. What's your perspective on what's important from a cloud platform and OCI, and maybe what this VMware partnership is kind of bringing to the table here?
No, what I think of kind of coming over here from that world and the background and other aspects is, what's important to enterprises. Like Oracle has always been about the enterprise, and then building this generation cloud to infrastructure, however you want to kind of frame it, has been that focus on the enterprise and what they care about, which is security, control, and kind of that visibility aspect and choice. So I think that's the kind of the bread and butter, and that's what we're kind of going with the VMware solution, which we'll talk about more detail here, kind of post this initial discussion. But we wanted to make sure that people had the control and the flexibility they needed inside of VMware to do kind of what they do on-prem, but in the cloud.
Cool. Before we get into that, so what's now home base for you, Scott, is in the mountains.
Home base is in Seattle, which is near the mountains. Okay. But I like to spend my time, kind of on the water, whether that's on a boat or up in the mountains on the snow.
Well, and you're being a little bit, you're downplaying a little bit, but you actually are you are or can be a professional ski instructor as well.
No, I am. I did it in college, and then I've picked it back up in the last couple of years, and it's been a lot of fun kind of getting back into that and teaching kids how to ski, whether it's my family or whether it's these groups of kids. And I think the thing that really kind of has drawn me back into it, that kind of excites me, is that I've been kind of tasked in this role in taking the kids that are the trouble kids or the kids that are falling behind in the group that needs a little extra kind of focus, and then coming to them and figuring out what they need for success and finding a little win. Like a little win can be anything from, a 4-foot slide to being able to jump off of the jump, even though you didn't really jump off of it, you just went over it. And then they have that success and they've now had a win, and then they can transition forward back into the group. And it's been a lot of fun and rewarding experience there. And it brings it back into almost this work experience too, of like team building. We all need those wins, like whether it's on a daily basis or kind of a big win on a quarterly basis, to be able to tout, kind of what you did and feel good about yourself and your effort and see that kind of and be rewarded for it.
Well, that's exactly kind of what I was going to ask, and I think it is true. We sometimes think we're just these machines in a we're brains in a meat machine, and we just have these to-do lists, and that we're just going to knock them off, and we forget how much it is about the wins or the momentum or the emotional aspect or being scared or pushing through or being comfortable or growth, right, in a professional environment. And we think we're not kids anymore, so we don't need that. Or we're managers, and my people don't, and it's I'm glad. Thank you for bringing it back to that and reminded of our humanity. Maybe that's a kid doing the hot dog and the pizza, the French fries and the pizza down the bunny slope. Maybe is the purest expression of our humanity.
No, that is the thing that you get taught as a ski instructor, is go in and figure out what that what your student wants to learn, like, and then define what is success in a collaboration with that student, and then figure out how to get them there.
Yeah.
Because
That's
what you want to teach them doesn't matter.
yeah. That's kind of the basis of consulting too, right? And many things, right? And management, and managing your team. And kids at home?
Yeah, 2 kids, 6 and 8 now.
Okay, so prime skiing season.
Having a great time with them, and both started when they were about 2 years old, which has been a lot of fun. When none of the professionals would actually take them, so I had to do it myself.
Well, I'm sure they could ski circles around me, so that's good. So Scott, you will be one of the folks in Barcelona, right?
Correct. I will be at Barcelona, and then we'll have other team members at Ignite.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're gonna maybe transition over to Guillermo. We can kind of play this by ear. But I mean, you talked about it one thing, but if you could, and I just tweeted, I bullet pointed it. Is that even English? I tweeted what I thought was the take home here, which is that the interesting thing about vSphere on OCI is going to be that admins do have more control over the vSphere part. Is that kind of one of the, did I encapsulate kind of one of the messages here of what y'all are doing?
It is one of the messages, and it enables essentially the things that customers want to be able to do. Or like if you talk to large enterprises, they want essentially to be able to maintain their change management processes and their control that they need. In order to do that, they need essentially that control over the environment to be able to, patch it when they want to, validate it, and then migrate and move our aspects. And so, we're going to be giving them that administrative or root access to the different components so that they can control it themselves. They can then bring their own partner if they want to actually have somebody else manage it, or they can actually manage it themselves in the same mechanisms that they manage on-prem.
So unlike other systems, even from VMware, where they may be managing more of or installing or updating the vSphere platform, you're not bringing. Do you bring your own? Do I bring my own bits and install it myself? You guys take care of that piece.
No, we're going to take care of the bits. Like you'll be able to, when you click or make the API call, the vSphere environment and the bare metals will be deployed. So you'll deploy 3 bare metals, and then vSphere or ESXi will be installed on each of those.
Mm-hmm.
They'll be configured, and then vCenter and the other components will be installed on top in addition to the vSAN. It will be enabled, and then the NSX will be set up. And we're going to minimally configure that to a level that is, it's a running SCDCC or
SCDC
on our cloud. And then we'll be handing that over, and then that's now fully the customers. They go in there, they get to twiddle the bits, they get to decide when they upgrade, they get to decide kind of the clustering of the hard drives and the other aspects that they want and that they need to see on their side.
And then upgrade and update and patch as their compliance and needs dictate as well.
Typically, we don't see people, upgrading and patching or, kind of, willy-nilly. Like in general, what we've been talking to customers is that they've got a 3 to 12 month, kind of change management upgrade cycle where they're going to adopt the critical patches, and they're going to build a new test environment, which will enable really easily. You'll be able to spin up that 3 node cluster, either of the new version, if you want to just adopt the versions that we kind of have available, or they could actually patch a legacy version up a little bit more, or kind of the version they've had, and then be able to test and validate before they do that, either update in place or a migration over, just to a kind of a separate set of infrastructure inside of the same cloud.
Right. And then it sounds so simple if it's your own machines, but like in the context of a cloud and the rest of the managed services and connection to the managed services, I think that sounds interesting.
That is the aspect. Like this is all living, like it's a software data center, defined data center inside of a cloud that's sitting inside of a VCN that then can connect to those other services. And that's what Guillermo, kind of in a presentation that we're going to do here shortly, will walk you through kind of a little bit about what more is, like explaining OCI in more detail, and then explaining that connectivity between the different services and how one would go about it.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Well, cool. And so there is no, you guys aren't talking about dates for that yet, but it is upcoming. I know you're working with some folks. So that'll be super interesting. I don't know, anything else? Let's say hi to Guillermo. Anything else? And Scott, you can stick around or turn off your camera either way.
Not
and
quite down, but yeah, I think the thing for me is like, as people want to connect on this and want to learn more, feel free to reach out, connect at Barcelona. We can connect ahead of, GA that's going to be coming early next year. We'll have demos available and other things that we can walk through and answer questions.
Awesome. Yeah, no, the Oracle Cloud has always been a very good, just from its DNA, has been a nice and open and good partner that we've worked with before, not currently. But so yeah, let's switch over maybe and say hi to Guillermo Ruiz. Guillermo, welcome.
Good evening. Huh?
Good evening. Good evening. You are currently your locale is in Spain. You will be in Barcelona next week. Is that right?
Yeah, hopefully. On Sunday we will land there.
Good. So tell us a little bit about what you do. I mean, part of the reason you're not part of the team back here in Seattle or Redwood City, but you have been in the VMware world, and you'll be there, and you're part of the OCI team.
It's funny because up to 3 hours ago, I was a pre-sales guy on the EMEA region, helping other pre-sales teams around complex deals and stuff like that. But I just been transitioned to the OCI organization, so now I'm
official. Yeah. Hey, congratulations!
I think that now it's official. At least my boss call and say, start telling your team that you are leaving my team and get into the new role.
Maybe we make maybe when we have more of these events, we can make that a tradition. People leaving their job, getting new jobs. That's awesome, though. That's going to be working closely with the OCI team.
I already work with OCI because my role was quite open. So I led, for example, the Nokia NOAS SDN integration in OCI. I did the whole technical validation. We announced running their controllers on OCI and giving a way to extend the data center to the cloud. So yeah, I've been a lot of freedom doing the stuff I really want to do in this company. It's really amazing to be. It's a very good point. I joined 3 years ago when they were just having in the oven the second generation. And I joined because of that second generation, because they showed me the first one that was Shen based, and it was like, holy shit, it's nothing really differentiator with what we already seen at Amazon. I was coming from CSE, where we had our own cloud nodes around Europe. And when I saw they were taking the SDN out of the hypervisors and it was a different concept, I say, wow, it looks very, very good. So
yeah, I think that there was a generation where we thought, well, is everybody going to be running all sorts of different clouds? Yeah. Well, we in one cloud, and then we thought, well, everybody's going to be running on different. And now it's interesting that there are some. It seems clear that there's some very different approaches from some of the big players. You got to have a big pocketbook and engineering team to do it right, but one size doesn't necessarily fit all, and that's kind of cool. So you'll be there in Barcelona. I know there's a lounge. Oracle is a sponsor for for the first time in quite a while. So that, which is kind of cool. Anyway, you want to maybe cue up what you'd like to show us today?
Okay, sure. Yeah, I need to add to the comment. We have a vBrand session on Tuesday. Oh, okay. We will be showing over 15 minutes other cases from what we're going to show today to the audience.
Okay,
let me share here.
You're going to be doing a vBrand bag. Oh, hey, actually, before we start, let me ask you too. I mean, so you're in what city are you in geographically? I know I just said Spain, and you've said you've been there for 3 years, and you have kids at home as well.
Yeah, I have 3 devils, 8, 6, and 4.
Yeah. Very good. Well, that is an active, that you are busy. You're a busy man. So thank you for staying up late and sharing with us.
Yeah, 3 kids there.
Cool. Okay. Well, let's. I know we hadn't. Let's get you into it.
Okay. We were going to talk. I will switch to Scott because he's going to do the first slides. It's how VMware and Oracle became friends.
Yeah, although at the beginning, there's the standard safe harbor, statement that it's product direction, but things can change.
Yeah,
it's an Oracle standard. If you've seen an Oracle presentation, you've seen it. We can go to the next one. We've covered a bit of this, so I'll go fast to this since John and I already did this. But basically, Oracle and VMware came together, and we're really kind of looking at kind of the customer experience for joint customers. there's a lot of adoption of VMware, there's a lot of adoption of Oracle, and a lot of it is integrated together. And so it's a new product, which is Oracle Cloud VMware Solution running on Oracle Cloud infrastructure. Full configurability and management, which we've already touched base on. But the other aspect is that we are confirming and updated our support policy to be clearer that we will support Oracle applications deployed on VMware, wherever VMware is deployed typically. It's all dependent kind of on the computing environment and kind of where that application is typically already supported. Then the other aspect is, next slide, we'll just cover support on the next slide too. So Oracle Cloud VMware Solution, just a high level, is its Oracle Cloud infrastructure with VMware software deployed on it. It will be sold by Oracle partners, and supported by Oracle. Like Oracle will be providing the tier 1, 2, and 3 support. VMware will be in there helping us, making sure that the tier 3 is done, but they'll be doing that mainly through Oracle.
Nice.
Then it's a monthly pricing model where you basically you commit to 1 year of universal credits on Oracle Cloud through our standard mechanism, but then the commitment level on the actual product per kind of node is on a one month basis. And then it's a certified VMware environment, including vSphere, vSAN, and NSX. It'll require an initial 3-node configuration, but each expansion can be 1 node. And the integration opens onto the cloud services from that data center. And next slide, G. And then here's see a diagram of VMware VMs running on NSX overlay, set up on kind of vSphere, NSXT, and vSAN, configured on a 3-node cluster. And then kind of it sits on top of our virtual cloud network and has access to the other kind of components on OCI, which I think is the perfect place to transition over to Guillermo, who's going to actually walk you through kind of what that networking looks like and the setup processes, and then kind of how you connect to kind of an example service, which I won't steal the thunder of which service you're going to talk about, but I'll transition it over.
Cool.
Sure. Thanks. One of the first questions people ask us is about licensing. We are friends, but Oracle and VMware licensing policies hasn't changed. Said that, this session is going to be about infrastructure, and we would like to introduce OCI. OCI is, I think, is still the unknown guy out there between all the cloud providers. I usually start my speech with a picture of a black hole in the galaxy in space, showing this unknown guy, and this is what we build there. The design comes with regions. Every single region should have 3 availability domains. That is not all the thing that physical data centers connected in 40, 50 kilometers with the metro lines or DWDM, depending on the region. On top of each availability domain, we have our physical network on closed architecture, spine leaf, really flat network. And one of the key points is what you see there in red. By design, we took out the SDN out of the hypervisor to make it really scalable. But not only that, you see there the services as compute, storage, networking, and stuff like that. But we are able to give you true bare metal service where you can run whatever software you want. You hate Oracle, but you need performance. You can run your software, your licenses, and stuff like that. You have virtual machines, container, but you have also engineer system or Exadata that it's most people in the database world will know about these big boxes, and you can have almost any middle box. And we went one step further, and we create what we call the compartments. Think about like folders where you just place your logical resources in, and you can split your cloud environment in line of business, project, or even customers. One of the cool things that we don't do over subscription on CPU and the network. So you get dedicated cores, so we can ensure that performance on the platform, it's whatever you run, single or multi-tenant, you have the same set of APIs, it will not change. We're using everything is non-volatile memory express, flash stick. Something that at the beginning I thought it was a mistake. It was how we were scaling on IOPS. It was totally linearly. Usually when you go into a cloud provider, it gets, if you get 2 terabytes over the next 12 months, I will get this rate. This will be the cost. In this case, it's just linear, so you can start on 60 IOPS and grow up to 20,000 per host. And we are giving thinking on enterprise, we're giving a full SLA coverage. Huh? It's not about the availability of the service. It's also how you manage, how you access the console or the APIs and stuff, but more important, the performance. Huh? We have specific SLAs on the disk IOPS and how it performs the network. Huh? So in each data center, we build like 1 million ports. I think that in UK, the last one was 768,000 ports. We didn't reach that million, but usually it's 1 million ports, flat network. We give very, very low latencies, like 200 microseconds with RTT. All our network runs on 25 gigs, but now we are upgrading and we want to move up to 50 to provide customers there. And we want to introduce, because we heard our customers saying, it's very nice, the concept of having a region with 3 ADs, but you don't have a lot of presence in the rest of the world. So we changed the strategy, and now we are deploying regions with a single availability domain. Huh? And the thing is that we speed the process of how we deploy things, and now we are going to get one availability domain every 23 days over the next 15 months. Huh? So the goal is to be by end of next year, like having, I think, 36 regions, something like that. So we can have presence all around the world. And the goal is to put at least 2 regions in specific areas so you can have high availability or disaster recovery. And as the demand grows in that 80, we will create other till we make this 3 AD region design. Huh? So for those guys that runs only in a single availability domain, we create what we call full domains. It's hardware stacks where you can specify where you want to deploy your application. So you ensure that any issue on the hardware will not blow up your whole application. Huh? This is
so Guillermo, and if folks aren't familiar with, like, I mean, let's just say AWS architecture, some of the stuff you've been talking about in terms of the networking and some of these, some of it is evocative of it, some of it is quite different. I don't want to go into detail, but let's maybe just leave it. Was that incorrect? That's correct, I hope.
Well,
so
there's
approaches that OCI has taken.
Well, our approach is to be really focused on enterprise. We've been there for 40 years with our customers, so we really know the complexity of having things in the data center, and we try to bring all that stuff up to the cloud and help on the journey. Huh? It didn't get a cloud with a cloud native thinking. It was more people need to run their enterprise workloads. Huh? How
with
we
a little
can make
more of an with this end-to-end SLA, right? It's not just like, well, the packets didn't go, so
yeah,
tough cookies, restart your instance.
Yeah, and every service we are adding, it goes to the SLA. So you will have the email notifications, a lot of stuff, events. People think about Oracle Cloud that it's a vendor lock-in, huh? But all our new services comes from the Cloud Native Compute Foundation. Huh? So we're having Terraform as a service. You're having our Kubernetes. It's not a fork. It's directly what Google has. Events Hub, things like that. Huh? Kafka, you have the streaming service with Kafka. So it's a way to be open, that the day you complain about us or you don't like what we are doing, you just move to another cloud. Huh? So we're trying to make things easier. I always say that it's easy to go up to the cloud. It's really difficult to get out of it. So it's much easier to move between clouds rather than doing a rollback and getting back into your data center. Huh? So virtual cloud network, you can think of that as a VPC for Amazon. Sorry. But here we have you have a private network. Currently it's IPv4. We are working on getting the roadmap IPv6 quite soon, at least for government, will come earlier. We have 2 different concepts. Government has higher security and compliance stuff. Then we have the commercial regions. You have private networks with subnets, route tables, and DHCP options. Everything with firewall rules, security leaves, or ACLs. Depends on if you're from the old school. But the cool thing of what we deployed is the communication gateways. Huh? We have like 5 different gateways. Depends on the kind of access you want. You will use one or other. It's a way of isolating communications. We have this DRG, or dynamic routing gateway, that allows you to connect back to your data center. You can use our Fast Connect service that is similar to ExpressRoute, Direct Connect, with the only difference that we do not charge for network egress traffic. Huh? You have the internet gateway, front-end access, people accessing your service. The LPG is peering between VCNs. I have applications in different virtual cloud networks, so I need to peer and communicate. And we have the service gateway. We have what we call Oracle Network Service, where you have our autonomous data warehouse, autonomous transactional, object storage, telemetry, and stuff like that. That rather than getting access to the public endpoint, you can reach it internally from your VCN to the service through the service gateway to this network service. We created what we call transit routines, so now customers from their data center can access privately directly to put things in object storage without having to go to a public endpoint. That's a very cool feature. And we heard customers' feedback also. People was deploying compute instance and creating their NAT gateways there. So we thought, why don't we get it for free? We have the capability there. Let's put the NAT gateway so for updating repos and stuff like that. So we give a path for customers. Everything is free of charge. So it's up there for people to use. This is a view of how it looks, everything. We're giving like 10 terabytes of egress traffic for free. So we remove the network cost from small and medium companies that they will never reach like 10 terabytes there. But this is how it looks. You have the 3 ADs inside the region, how I connect through VPN Fast Connect, how can I peer, everything controlled with security list, and how can I access through the service gateway to this Oracle Service Network. And said that, I think that the people what is looking, trying to introduce this, so when I start speaking about, hey, VMware and Exadata in the cloud. We are the only cloud provider where you can see this cool stuff. And there are different scenarios where we can have VMware and Exadata. Well, mainly people can think about this on bringing the whole VMware server farm, even with the database virtualized. No, we're talking here about bringing the whole application virtualized, take that virtualized database, and really make it run natively on our Exadata. Make the best of both worlds. How we perform on these beast machines. Now we have the X8, probably will be replacing in sub-regions, start rolling the deployments there. But the thing here is you can deploy VMware, as Scott mentioned, in 3 bare metals with your ESX and running your VMs on top. I can put them in each single whole domain in a different one. You have up to 3, so it fits in different hardware stacks. And then for the Exadata cloud service, you need to provision the network. Usually it's 2 private subnets. You have the client part and you have the backup when you get the storage access and stuff like that. A second scenario is splitting into 2 different virtual cloud networks. If you want to grow on the VMware side, you have your VCN, you can fully cop with new hosts and stuff there. And I have a dedicated VCN for my Exadata stuff, and I just peer them. I use the local private gateways to connect everything. That's the second case we will be showing in Vim Brown back. And also this third one, how can I split using regional subnet? So I can have each bare metal server from a VMware farm in a different data center inside the region. So in Frankfurt, you have the 3 ADs. I can put each one there and span across the 3 ADs. Same happens with Exadata cloud service. And there are many more scenarios, but I was running out of time. Sorry about that. So I just showed here. The thing here, how to do the basic one, a single availability domain inside a single VCN, but putting VMware on different full domains. This is how it looks your tenant when you join. And the first thing is you need to go from a bottom-up approach to start provisioning. You go with the network, and then you go with the compute instance and all the stuff there. So we'll create our virtual cloud network. I'll put that 172.16.0.0/16 to have enough space to handle everything. I'll create my 2 subnets, private IP, so anything created there will be private. You have the option of defining things in OCI dashboard to put with public IPs, private, and stuff like that. We will create the VMware on its full domain out there. There are some warnings around this because we usually recommend as a best practice not using the Exadata cloud service subnets for other applications. We try to avoid the IP address in 192.168.128.0/20 because it's part of the InfiniBand address space. So we give these recommendations, try to avoid having messy things there. And the VCN DNS label, usually we recommend 14 characters to get things there. Huh? So this is how it looks when you provision things. As Scott mentioned, you will have an image where it goes with your ESX, NSXT, vSAN. But the thing is how I communicate things. Huh? Usually the routing side inside the VCN is done automatically with whatever is defined inside. So you just need to take care of what's outside, how I want to connect. For example, for my client subnet in the EXA cloud service, I want to connect back to my on-prem. So I'm going to use the dynamic routing gateway. I want to have a default gateway through NAT because I want to update my repos and stuff like that. But if I want to use services in the Oracle network, like telemetric, object storage, or whatever, I will allow, it's very basic, you have only two options. You allow all the services to OSN, or you just allow the object storage there. Huh? We really simplify to make it easy for customers. The back, you just need to get into object storage. So we will allow all the services to OSN through the service gateway. And I think that the people, what they look for is how I connect VMware stuff, how I route all these things out. Usually the overlay from the workloads we saw on the NSXT, you need to point to the physical address getting out of our VCN. Huh? So it's a mapping over a private IP that is assigned there. But then on the other stuff, you can have a default gateway just to get into the internet gateway. So you can RDP inside your VMware stuff. And if you need to access storage and things like that, you will have the all region services in OSN. Huh? Looks very simple. And to be honest, it's quite simple when you start deploying all this stuff. Then you might have your tuning things inside to have your custom configurations for the solution. But the thing is, I'm allowing the communication, but how I secure all this stuff. Huh? I'm from the old school, from the Cisco guys, so I talk about ACLs rather than security lists. But the thing is, these are the kind of rules we will be allowing. Huh? I want SSH and I want ICMP type 3 code all. That's just using for path MTU discovery and also for our VCN error message connectivity. Then you have rules to the SQL listener, how you're going to access from external IPs to that listeners and how we'll get or allow traffic to the subnets from the client and the ESX guys running things on their VMs. Huh? Something similar for the backup, but the backup is only SSH and access to storage. And from the guys from the VMware stuff, it's RDP. I want 3389 to connect remotely. Also, we keep the path MTU discovery and VCN there so we can get the errors, or if something wrong is happening, we can know what's going on. But you get there all ICMP and TCP address for the clients running on the EXA cloud service, but also the ESX guests there. And you can allow whatever service you are defining on your VMs from external IPs and just allowing that traffic out there. The thing is that if you see these security lists are more based on the subnet level, but we got a new concept that is network security groups. So you can go down into the virtual NIC and a machine, the virtual NIC inside the same subnet. I say, hey, I want to speak with John, but I don't want to know nothing about Scott. And we are all in the same room. So I will just speak in with you and I can limit that flow of communications between you and me without Scott seeing what we are talking about. Huh? And this is how it looks, the network perspective, but you will still think, what the heck? What about the VMware deployment? Huh? He didn't start talking about that. This is how it looks. Huh? We will be deploying an edge cluster where you have your tier 0, tier 1. The tier 0, for those people that are brand new to NSX, is a logical router that gives you that on and off gateway between the logical and physical network. Here we're using static routing through our OCI VCN. Then the tier 1 is the logical router that connects to the tier 0. It's like a transit link. Here we are defining, you get by default the space, the IP address of 100.64.0.0/10. That's by default in that transit. If people that used to work with Ravelo, deploying stuff in Amazon, Google, or OCI, when you were tracing communications, you always saw these IPs, 100.64, just on that transit links. For the tier 0 to tier 1 peer connection, we assign /31 subnets within that address space. And the above configuration is based on active standby. Huh? We are working to provide additional scenarios that might be available, I think, at lunchtime. Scott is the guy managing with Steve and Faisal all this cool stuff. And they're working on more things. We're trying to bring up to customers reference architecture, best practices, to make them much easier deployment. I think I'm truly a believer of making things simple. I'm a dummy guy. So if you put things that I can understand, mostly 90% of the people out there will be able to do it. Huh? And just getting, this is how it shows from the first slide that Scott showed. You get the VM over the overlay workload segment. It goes down to the NSX. We route statically to the VCN. One of the things I didn't tell between tier 0, tier 1 is we just redistribute connected routes. So it will push automatically. You have everything there. We hit our service gateway that will give you access to any service in this Oracle network. Huh? And I'm just finishing all this stuff. Not sure if you're running too much. I'm having too much time yet to speak. I can be speaking for hours, huh? But I would like to show what's running behind that. Huh? This is how it looks, our Exadata. Some of the specs we have, 384 cores, 12 terabytes memory. When you go to the high capacity with extreme flash, you have like 716 terabytes of non-volatile memory express. But our bare metal servers, where you will run your ESX stuff, you can have 52 cores, up to 768 gigs of RAM, 225 NICs running there with 51.2 terabytes of local storage NMV there. But you can get up to 1 petabyte. You have like 32 blocks of 32 terabytes. That is what gives you 1 petabyte of block storage. And we use the latest Intel chipsets. We have also AMD servers, so we can choose. And we are releasing new things because we truly believe on the elasticity in the cloud. Huh? So very, very soon, people will be able, because right now you have one OCPU, it's like 2 virtual CPUs when you compare to other cloud providers. One CPU has like 15 gigs of RAM. So if you want 30, you need to go with 2 CPU. It was like a fixed catalog. We thought that that's not the way to operate in the cloud. So we're bringing this elasticity of, I can define one CPU, but my application is, I would say, memory performance. So I will put like 1 terabyte of memory, whatever. So you will be able to define whatever you need, but we give the option to resize your instance between shapes, where I need to increase CPUs, OCPUs, RAM, storage. The way you perform, you can make it really elastic, and you can do it without having a downtime. It will be, how you say, in hot, you say hot, without now doing those stuff. So a lot of very cool things. Huh? But if you want to see a demo of all this stuff, Scott, Faisal, and Steve will host in an Oracle Cloud VMware Solutions session, 60-minute session there. I'm the poor guy inside the team, so I have 15 minutes of vBrown back, thanks to Alistair for giving the slot. So we will talk about the different other scenarios of how to run Exadata and VMware together. Huh?
That's cool. That's very cool. So folks who are going to, I turned you off, but I just wanted to, folks are going to Barcelona, and also folks who are just online. You're at IAS Geek. You know, I was just wondering you went far past my depth on the NSX setup, et cetera. But what, if, as you've explained this to people who are vSphere admins or who used to be, SDDC, folks, anything there that is is there one thing that is either surprising, that surprises them in either a good or a confusing? Is there one thing they get confused about, or one thing that they're surprised in a good way that you could pull out from that?
Sorry, can you get it, because I got frozen my screen for.
It was a terrible question. It was a poorly phrased question. Is there one thing that when a vSphere and SDDC admin sees this setup and has to that there's a little bit, it's either different or surprising, either in a good or a bad way?
Well, I think it's quite surprising because we package the whole image that you will be deploying there. So we make the configuration quite easier for the people. It's not, I would not say it's click, 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 but it's almost click, click, click. Then you will have to custom your installation.
Mhm.
But the thing we're providing all the components already to make you start running in just the time it takes for the deployment, I think is really, really cool. But moreover is what Scott also mentioned about security. Yeah? Most of the customer asking, I will not let a cloud provider my root credential of my hypervisors when they can compromise the VMs running on top of that. So we went down and said, okay, we give you the whole control. You deploy your stuff, you manage. We don't change the way you operate in the data center. So we try to keep that same flow, mostly on hybrid models. Huh? I always tell, and maybe I get fired after this call, but I always say, we, the cloud providers, saw that there's part of your IT infrastructure that will never get out of your data center. So now we're trying to get into your data center. We have the cloud at customer solution at Oracle, Outpost, Amazon. Google is missing the part, maybe they buy Nutanix or something like that. That will be the missing piece for their whole storytelling. But I think that it's a very good way to deploy things. Huh? I like the way we are doing here rather than a managed service, because I'm more a techie guy that I want to have control of the things I do out there. Huh?
Yeah, well, it has to meet your requirements, right? And like I think we started off by saying there's going to be different solutions depending on your requirements and needs. One size doesn't fit all, whether it's SaaS or cloud. Awesome. Yeah. Hey, man, thank you so much for coming on here. I really appreciate it. And, good luck next week in Barcelona, and have lots of ham and cheese for me.
Yeah, if everybody wants to catch up, just drop us a ping us, and we will be more than happy to exchange. Huh?
Nice. Super nice.
Thanks very much. Huh?
Thanks, Scott. Thanks, Guillermo.